What's up everyone, Jay here and welcome to another installment of Comic Character Spotlight, where I tell the origins of my favorite and or popular comic book characters, as well as give insight to their powers and abilities. Today, the spotlight is on Captain America from Marvel Comics. Captain America is one of the greatest heroes of the Marvel Universe. He's righteous, brave, and always devotes himself to the protection of the weak and is a symbol of freedom and justice. Steve Rogers was born July 4th, 1920, to Joseph and Sarah Rogers. He grew up in New York during the Great Depression and was frail and sickly during most of his youth. His father, after losing his job, became an alcoholic and began abusing both Steve and Sarah. Though, Steve was still brought up with a strong sense of duty, honor, and humility, possibly because of his Catholic upbringing. Steve's father died when he was a child and his mother died of pneumonia years later, when he was in his late teens. Upset by newsreel footage of Nazis ransacking Europe, Steve tried to enlist in the army but was rejected because of his frailty and sickness. Hearing Steve's plea to fight for his country, General Chester Phillips offered him the opportunity to take part in a top-secret performance-enhancing experiment called Operation Rebirth. Steve agreed and was taken to a secret laboratory in Washington, D.C. He was introduced to Dr. Abraham Erskine, who created the Super Soldier Serum. After weeks of tests, Steve was given the serum. Part of the serum was injected through his veins and another part he took orally. Steve was then shot by Vita rays, which is a special combination of wavelengths of radiation designed to accelerate and stabilize the serum's effect on his body. Steve emerged from the Vita ray chamber with the perfect human body. Moments after, a Nazi spy who observed the experiment murdered Dr. Erskine. And Dr. Erskine died without completely transferring the super soldier formula to paper, leaving Steve as the sole beneficiary of his project. Steve was put through an intensive physical and tactical training program that taught him gymnastics, hand-to-hand combat from Colonel Rex Applegate and William Fairborn, and military strategy. 3 months later, he was given his first assignment, to stop the Nazi agent called Red Skull. To help him become a symbolic counterpart to the Red Skull, Steve was given the red, white, and blue costume of Captain America. After successfully becoming Captain America, Steve was submitted to an experimental program that conditioned his mind to accept false information, in the chance that he was captured by the enemy and forced to reveal classified information. As part of the conditioning, Steve believed his real name was Grant Rogers, that he had a brother, and that due to his parents being diplomats, he had a casual upper-class appointment to the Army and Captain America position. It wouldn't be until far later that Steve would remember the conditioning and his true identity. Steve was originally given a kite-shaped shield made from steel as well as a sidearm. President Franklin D. Roosevelt later presented Steve with his now iconic disc-shaped shield. Seeing that its excellent aerodynamic properties made it an effective offensive weapon, Steve ditched his sidearm. During the war, Captain America served as both a symbol of freedom and America's most effective special operative. In addition to working with his sidekick Bucky, Steve regularly fought alongside other allied superpowered heroes, like Namor and the android Human Torch, who were the super team known as the Invaders. Steve sometimes came into contact with a Canadian paratrooper named James Howlett, who would later become known as Wolverine. But during the final days of the war, Captain America and Bucky were trying to stop a bomb-loaded drone launched by Baron Zemo. The plane exploded and apparently killed Bucky, and sent Steve into the icy Arctic waters of the English Channel. The Super Soldier Serum prevented the crystallization of Steve's bodily fluid, allowing him to enter suspended animation. With Steve and Bucky seemingly dead, the war continued and the US presidents and government picked different volunteers to be Captain America, like William Naslund, Jeffrey Mace, and William Burnside over the years, to keep morale alive, even after World War II had ended. Decades later, Steve's former teammate Namor had came across his still frozen body, which was being worshipped by an Inuit tribe. Enraged, Namor threw the ice block into the ocean. While fighting Namor, the newly formed Avengers discovered Steve's thawing body and soon revived him. While Steve has no actual superhuman powers, the result of the Super Soldier Serum transformed him from a frail young man into the perfect specimen of a human. Steve is as intelligent, strong, fast, agile, and durable as possible for a human being without being considered a superhuman. He has abilities superior to any Olympic-level athlete to have ever competed. The super soldier's serum is remnant, meaning even if he chose to lead an unhealthy lifestyle, none of his powers would weaken. With Steve's physical strength being enhanced to the very peak of human potential, he is able to sustain lifts of 800 pounds. This also extends to his legs, allowing him to leap 20 feet out in a single bound and 10 feet into the air without a running start. Though when he's really pushed, he may be able to leap even greater heights than 10 feet. Steve can move at speeds equal to that of the absolute finest human, capable of running a consistent 30 miles per hour, but he has been able to sprint at twice that pace over shorter distances when necessary. Steve's bones and muscles are denser and harder, amplified to the highest human potential, making him very durable. His agility is also greater than that of an Olympic gold medalist. He can coordinate his body with balance, flexibility, and dexterity. Steve's reflexes are borderline superhuman. His reaction speed is about 20 kilometers per hour, which makes it possible for him to dodge gunfire, even at point-blank range, or from multiple shooters simultaneously. Steve's body eliminates the excess buildup of fatigue-producing chemicals in his muscles, granting him incredible endurance and lung capacity. He can exert himself at peak capacity for an hour without any rest and before even showing signs of fatigue. Steve's healing speed and efficiency are at the highest limits of human potential, which means he can heal faster than most humans. The white blood cells combined with the super soldier serum in his body are able to fight off microbe, foreign body, and other pathogens from his body, keeping him healthy and immune to all infections, diseases, and disorders. As an added effect, he cannot become intoxicated by alcohol, drugs, or impurities in the air, making him immune to terrestrial diseases. He is also immune to hypnosis or gases that could limit his focus. His mental performance works in the most efficient and rapid way possible. He is able to process the world in the most advanced and efficient manner. He has perfect pattern solving and recognition, limitless information storage and retrieval, perfect perception and observation skills, and logical and philosophical structuring. His mind also processes information quickly, giving him an accelerated learning aptitude. Steve can also quickly analyze multiple, limitless information streams and rapidly respond to changing tactical situations. He has an eidetic memory. He never forgets anything and has perfect instant recall. He can read at superhuman speeds and has perfect reasoning skills and can intuitively understand what's going on and how to deal with it. This enables him to remember any military tactic and apply it to any situation, which makes him a great tactician. Steve's senses of sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch are all at the highest possible limits of human potential. The super soldier serum also stops Steve's aging due to perfect cells. Steve is a very accomplished strategist. He had been widely considered one of, if not the greatest, tacticians on the planet, both on and off the battlefield. He is able to formulate battle strategies, and his brilliant tactical sense allows for him to alter any strategy to fit the changing needs of any scenario. Steve is an expert at hand-to-hand combat, being extremely skilled in multiple martial arts through his training in the military and instruction given to him by many private instructors. He uses various martial arts with his gymnastics abilities, creating a style that suits his strengths and enables him to use his knowledge to the best of his ability. His years of training and experience with his signature shield as well as its physical properties allow him to perform amazing skills with it. Outside of bashing opponents with it and blocking incoming attacks, he is able to throw his shield with nearly perfect aim. Steve can also hit multiple targets with the same throw by ricocheting and can even carry out a boomerang-like return effect, allowing him to strike enemies from behind or retrieve the shield without objects to ricochet from. He is well versed in all armed force training, including intelligence gathering, escape arts, assassination, demolition, survival tactics, hunting, swimming, mountaineering, drill skills, map making and reading, decoding cipher and other secret code messages, making woodcraft signs and other secret code messages, disguising, interrogation, computers, explosives, communication systems, vehicles, and electronic appliances used in armed forces. His years of training have also made him an expert acrobat, gymnast, and aerialist. He often utilizes these talents in combat for both evasive and offensive purposes. Steve is a very strong-willed person. He is able to overcome most forms of temptation, resist the effects of extreme pain, drugs, and toxins to a great extent. Steve is also capable of resisting many forms of mind control, though he has succumbed to the powers of the Purple Man but fought constantly to maintain his real senses. He has a great artistic skill as well, which he developed in childhood. Steve has worked as a freelance illustrator and sketch artist, lending his skills to the NYPD for a moment. He enjoys drawing and does so with his free time. While Steve doesn't typically use weapons other than his shield, in desperate scenarios, he uses additional weapons. He is proficient in wielding swords, daggers, throwing knives, staffs, sticks, tonfa, axes, maces, and firearms. Steve is fluent in English, German, Russian, Spanish, Japanese, some French, some Italian, and he may be bilingual in other languages. He is skilled in driving cars, motorcycles, trucks, jets, tankers, helicopters, motorboats, submarines, some types of trains, and utility vehicles. Captain America's primary weapon is his shield. It was created by Dr. Myron McLean, who combined vibranium with a steel alloy and created the disc-shaped shield. McLean was never able to replicate the process because he couldn't identify a still unknown catalyst that played a role in the metal bonding. The shield was given to Steve by the government several months after the beginning of his career. The shield itself has great aerodynamic properties. It can slice through the air with minimum wind resistance and deflection of path. Its great resilience combined with its natural concrete-like stiffness allows it to rebound from objects with minimum loss of angular momentum. It is nearly indestructible, being resistant to penetration, temperature extremes, and the entire electromagnetic spectrum of radiation. Steve sometimes uses an energy shield. It's a photonic shield able to redirect kinetic energy, emit energy blasts, and change into a staff. And that about does it for this edition of Comic Character Spotlight. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.